All right.
Let's do it.
Good evening, everyone. Welcome to Was It Good? My name is Bob, and tonight we're going to be talking Star Wars The Acolyte Episode 3. Now, I'm going to be honest, this is an episode I did not want to talk about.
Why do you do it then?
Because several people in the comments section said that there's a controversy surrounding this episode and that I should watch it. Plus, a couple of my friends said,
We're in this together now, boys.
so we're going to go ahead and power through it together. God help us. Now, before I get into the review of the episode, I want to let you know there are going to be some spoilers. Now, if you haven't seen the episode and you don't want it spoiled, go ahead and go check it out on the Disney Plus app and then go ahead and come back and watch this video. But I'll be honest, I don't feel guilty about spoiling bad shows. Now, if you have seen the episode, I'd like to know what you thought about it. Why don't you go ahead and share your comments in the comments section below? Let me know what you thought. Maybe you had a different opinion than mine, because remember, these are my opinions. So maybe you thought it was a great episode. Why don't you go ahead and let me know why you thought it was great? Now, as always, don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, subscribe to the channel, and let's get to it. Episode 3, titled Destiny, looks back 16 years where on a mysterious planet the tragic journey of Osha and May begins. Much like episodes 1 and 2, there's very little that I like about this. I do think that there's actually a few decent establishment shots where I think that the scenery looks fine. Also, I think that Master Soul is probably the best character that's in the show so far. I find him to be the most interesting, and I got to appreciate the fact that the actor actually learned English in order to play this role, so I really got to give him some credit there. But beyond that, I did not think that there was much to like about this episode. Now, when it comes to things I didn't like about this, there's way too many to list, and I could just go on about it. So I'm only going to list some of the things that I objectively found bad with this episode, which are actually quite a lot, but I'll talk about the things that bothered me the most. First off, I thought that the acting continues to be extremely bad. Now, there are a couple of decent performances, but the majority of it is bad across the board, and I don't think it helps that the dialogue is very poorly written. It's just the way that it's delivered and the way that it's written, it doesn't flow very well, and it just really throws me out of the episode. Also, when the Jedi show up and they start questioning whether there are children there being trained, they're like, well, we got no children here. And sure enough, they've got 2 children that they're hiding there. And you find out that there's no father. And because there's no father, and the 2 ladies have a discussion a little bit later, and so you find out that the children were conceived through miraculous means, so it's heavily implied that they were conceived through the Force. Now, that might not be the case, but that's what's implied. And if that is in fact what happened, that takes away the significance of Anakin Skywalker. The whole point about Anakin Skywalker's miraculous birth is that it gave the Jedi a reason to think that he might be the chosen one, because that miraculous birth was identified with the chosen one. Now it appears that we can just have children through the Force whenever we decide that we want to. Now, I have heard some controversy that people didn't like that the way that the Force was defined in this episode. I really didn't catch what they were saying, because several people said it was defined as a female entity. I really didn't get that from the episode, but they instead defined the Force as this thread that you can kind of pull on. And I guess that's okay, because maybe that's the way they interpret it, but I just didn't think that it really made sense in the way that they described it. And I just didn't like that. Also, when it comes to Osha and May, their whole storyline, it just doesn't make any sense whatsoever. So you've got the Jedi who are going to turn around and test them to see if they're going to become Jedi. And all the Coven of Witches make the decision that the girls are going to fail this test. And so May goes in and fails with flying colors. But Osha, who's wanting to become a Jedi, which doesn't make any sense, and I'll get to that in a minute, she goes in, she ends up passing the test, and May just freaks out when she passes the test. And instead of just getting mad at her and walking off or holding it against her for the rest of her life, she turns around and says, I'm not going to let this happen because I'm going to kill you. And so she ends up turning around and setting fire to Osha's room, and the fire catches around the whole complex, which I don't understand how rock is catching on fire, but sure enough, it catches the whole place on or the whole complex on fire, and it ends up killing all of the Coven of Witches, which again doesn't make sense. Couldn't they just leave this complex? But no, they all end up dying there, and that makes no sense. And then you end up having the 2 girls facing each other on opposite platforms, and Maze ends up breaking and she goes crashing down, and Soul sees Osha and ends up catching her before she falls, and that's how Osha ends up with the Jedi. It just it was just kind of a ridiculous chain of events that just didn't make any sense. I guess it makes sense in Rian Johnson's The Last Jedi, where Luke Skywalker would turn around and kill his nephew just because he sensed a hint of evil in him. But so here you got May turning around wanting to kill her sister because she wants to become a Jedi. And that just didn't make any sense. And now back to Osha wanting to become a Jedi. It doesn't make any sense that she would know anything about the Jedi, because that was the whole point of this Coven of Witches. They secluded themselves from everything else. Yet Osha knows all this stuff about the Jedi. I want to become a Jedi. Why do you want to become a Jedi? How do you know anything about the Jedi? It doesn't make any sense if you're going to be living in this secluded area that you would even know anything about them. So it's there's just so much that didn't make sense with this episode. And like I said, there's actually so many more things that I can talk about, but these are just some of the things that really bothered me when it came to this episode. Now, I'm only asking this because I always do on this channel. Was it good? Absolutely not. This is an objectively bad episode in what is an objectively bad show. The acting continues to be bad. It is poorly written, poorly thought out. Character decisions and actions don't make any sense. Events don't make any sense. And I just think that this is a very poorly thought out show. I really don't like it. I'm going to be honest. I'm going to continue watching the show just to see if anything pops up. But as far as doing any more reviews, I probably am not going to do any reviews unless there's something worth talking about. But this is a terrible show. Now, if you're still watching this long, I'd like to thank you for watching. Don't forget to hit that like button, share the video, and subscribe to the channel. And we'll see you next time.